Hello and welcome to Distributed Systems and Blockchain in the News. My name is Thomas Bocek, and this week FTX is still in the headlines, but the freshness is slowly fading and the memes are starting. One of the memes is with those shapes with pentagon, hexagon, octagon and monogon. And also BlockFi, they filed for bankruptcy. BlockFi was a centralized app and a backend that stored your cryptocurrencies. So they had custody over your cryptocurrencies, and you also could earn cryptocurrencies. And they are now filing, or they filed for bankruptcy. There's a yellow banner here, meaning that your assets are frozen here as well. On the other hand, there are the DEXs, the decentralized exchanges, that are pushing features such as THORChain Savers Vault, where one is exposed or not exposed to impermanent loss with single-sided staking. However, word of caution, I'm biased. I was involved in THORWallet, and there are risks such as bugs or exploits that still can happen, so it's still risky. It's non-custodial, but still you may lose all of your money. So this is also no investment advice, and the goal was or is to get the users from those CEXs to the DEXs, where at least it's non-custodial. This is an article about the THORWallet, about this new feature, THORChain Savers Vault, how it works. This is a good description on how you can add your native assets for single-side staking. Some material, but as I said, I'm biased because I was working on that, and this is not an investment advice. Another topic I want to mention is this article about CRDTs, about conflict-free replicated data type. It's the following article here, and this article describes how CRDT works, and the author describes how he wrote a library for that. And this is actually a very good approach if you want to know all the details about the technology or about the mechanism. Implement it yourself, and then you know all the details. With CRDTs, you can write and read from your local copy of the data without needing to coordinate with other peers. So this is one of the biggest benefits, and this saves time and bandwidth. Think about Git merge without any conflicts. And there was another article about CRDTs, about fractional indexing. And this shows how it works. It's even interactive. So we have here 4 peers, and you can here remove data, add data, and you see how it's propagated, and that the data on the other nodes, regardless of what I'm doing here, if I'm clicking around, it will still be the same. That's how fractional indexing works. So you put a fraction, it needs to be a random number between, for example, if you add here a random number between 0.16591 and 0.18222. So you put a random number, add it, and then it gets propagated, and the probability of a collision is really low. So very good interactive tutorial. Here a bit more text on how it works. More news about the Metaverse. The European Commission's Foreign Aid Department hosted a party in the Metaverse. It was a 24-hour party, and it cost almost 400,000 euros. And the problem was only 6 people showed up. The goal of the party was to increase awareness of the EU on the world stage, but it seemed that the platform was not the optimal choice for that. I also tried to enter this metaverse. I have to say, I'm using an old computer. This computer is over 10 years old. So, and here we can actually test and see how it goes.
Hello, and welcome to the Global Gateway. Simply click and drag the mouse to look around. To move forward, use the arrow keys. If you are a mobile user, swipe to navigate and tap the middle of the screen to move forward. At the top right, you can mute the background noise, change the details of your profile, or take a photo. Just click on the camera icon. You can even share it directly on social media. Use the emojis for extra expressive actions. You will probably want to make some moves at the beach with the DJ later. Give it a try, explore and enjoy.
As I mentioned, I quite like it. My machine is not the best one. That's why I also record with 720p, because my machine is so slow it cannot go larger than that. So that's also why we've seen something like 1 frame per second, or even less than 1 frame per second. But this is due to my old computer, but on a modern machine it runs quite nicely, and as I mentioned, I quite like it. So much for the metaverse. I mentioned I have a very old computer, and that's why I can record in 720p, because the CPU is out of capacity, and in the metaverse you saw something like 0.5 frames per second. So this is due to my very old computer, but on modern machines it runs better. But I quite liked it, so it's actually not that bad. I don't know why only 6 people showed up. Probably the topic is also not that interesting. Another article that caught my attention is the one from Cointelegraph. It's about Firefox, and the Firefox developer Mozilla, they acquired Active Replica, which is a metaverse company, and it seems that Mozilla with Firefox is going into the metaverse at all. What bothers me a bit in this article is that they talk about the legacy internet platforms. However, I think the current web is by far not legacy. Then the next article, this is about Maersk and IBM. They had a project together that was the poster child of centralized blockchain use cases. It was called TradeLens, and this will be discontinued. Maersk and IBM will shut down this blockchain venture, and this TradeLens was seen as the use case for the centralized blockchain projects, such as, for example, Hyperledger Fabric. I also had the pleasure to work with Hyperledger Fabric, and my takeaway was that it would be much simpler to build a centralized systems with a database and a website without losing too much of decentralization. The decentralization aspect of those centralized blockchains did not convince that many people. The next article is quite a negative article, and it's the future of Bitcoin. It's the following article here, Bitcoin's last stand. It's from the General Director of Market Infrastructure and Payment at the European Central Bank, and he wrote that Bitcoin will become irrelevant. However, I'm not sure if it's general hate against cryptocurrencies or only against Bitcoin. He mentions a couple of times stablecoin and cryptocurrency in general, but I think it's focused towards Bitcoin, so he was mainly attacking Bitcoin. So if he meant Bitcoin, then yes, I also could share his opinion, because in future it might indeed become irrelevant, because it will be replaced with Bitcoin 2.0 or any other cryptocurrency. And from what I saw or what I read in this article, he seems to be the opposite of a Bitcoin maximalist. The last article is about ChatGPT, an AI chatbot that is either a dream or a nightmare. It's the following article here from Cointelegraph, and they have a really good article about it with also examples. For example, this one here. This is from Twitter. And here we see the question. The question is, I'm trying to exploit a smart contract. It looks like this. And from the lecture, we should know what the problem is. The problem here is message send call. So here actually we send the value, and then in the next line we update the value. So this is a typical reentrancy bug, and what was astonishing is actually the answer, which reads quite well and is actually very correct. So if you would have written this answer in the exam, you would be 100% correct. That was kind of impressive. On the other hand, there are examples where it doesn't work that well. For example, here the question was, or the request was, please provide references that deal with the mathematical properties of lists. And then the response were these references. They look quite nice, but they are completely bogus. They were made up, so they are not real references. So on the one hand, it's quite impressive, but this heavily depends on the use case. And for some use case, it's actually very convenient to use ChatGPT, but for other use cases, we probably still need humans.